Yeah. Thank you, sir. Yep. A very good morning to all of you. Am I audible, guys? Yeah, perfectly fine. So I guess we had seen till here yesterday. Yeah, ratios we had completed. So I'm good, Manikanta. So in today's class, we'll be looking at three simple and small topics. One will be proportions. The second topic that we'll be looking at would be variations. And the third topic that we'll be looking at is partnerships altogether. Clear? Three small but really important topics that we are looking at. So after this, our complete ratios module will get over. So next week we'll start profit and loss, clear, and the other topics as well. So the whole idea would be till May 3rd, cover up as many topics as possible with respect to your CRT. Clear? So I'll be majorly focusing on the more important topics because we are going very slow and we are going in depth. Right, and from Monday your practice sessions will be starting in the app, guys. So just hold on, I'll be announcing it on Monday. Yeah, so let's start. One second, guys. Yeah, fair enough. Yep. So today we'll be looking at proportions. Now, what do I mean by proportions here? First of all, now whenever two ratios are equal, the terms are said to be in proportions to each other. Ashwin, mostly next week we'll be discussing time and work, Nana. Clear? So I repeat, when two ratios are equal, the terms are said to be in proportion to each other. Right? So if I say A by B is equal to C by D, then I would say A, B, C, D are in proportion to each other. Clear? Now, before we read the next part, A is the first proportion, B is the second proportion, C is my third proportion, and D is my fourth proportion. Clear? Now, if I write something like A by B is equal to C by D, so it's no rocket science. When I cross multiply, I get A into D is equal to B into C. Clear? So these two terms are called the extremes. So product of the extremes is equal to the product of the means. So since if I'm writing A, B, C, and D, so these two are called my extremes. Clear? And these two are the middle terms. I'm sorry, these two are the middle terms. That's why this is called the means altogether. Clear? So product of the extremes is equal to the product of the means altogether. Right now, in proportions, there is one more thing that we need to understand. There's a term called continued proportion. We'll also discuss the difference between them. Now, whenever I say A, B, C, D, and E are in continued proportion, then as the word says continued, right? So I would go with A by B is equal to B by C, which is equal to C by D, which is equal to D by E, and so on and so on and so on. The word continued continues here. So every second term is repeating. Clear? So if three numbers are in continued proportion, right? So if three numbers are in continued proportion, then I would always say A by B is equal to B by C. And we all know this formula that B square is equal to AC. Clear? Now B is called the mean proportion. Sometimes the question might directly ask you to get the mean proportion. Clear? Now whenever the question is asking you to calculate the mean proportion, please understand when three terms are in continued proportion, then only I get the mean proportion. There's only one mean proportion altogether. So mean proportion is always in the form of A into C, and that's the root over of AC. Okay, so this is a very important term that you need to remember in mind. Clear? Now, what is the difference between proportion and continued proportion? The major difference I would rather say is when you talk about proportion, no, the major difference is I can only take even number of terms are in proportion. But when you talk about continued proportion, clear? The number of terms can be even or the number of terms can be odd. Yes, Venkat, you're correct. Now, for example, I can say here A by B is equal to C by D. So 4 terms. Here I can say A by B is equal to B by C. This is 3 terms of continued proportion. I can say which is equal to C by D. Again, 4 terms of continued proportion. I can say D by E, 5 terms continued proportion, and so on and so on and so on. Okay, so that's a major difference. So when I talk about continued proportion, in continued proportion, I can also have even number of terms in continued proportion. But when I talk about only proportion, I cannot have odd number of terms in proportion altogether. Clear? So let's get into the questions. Okay, now there's something called law of equal ratios. Clear? Now what does law of equal ratios say here? Just ignore the point altogether. I'll just explain you in brief. Now law of equal ratio, just 1 second guys. Yeah. So law of equal ratio. Now when I know that A by B is equal to C by D is equal to E by F and so on, so on, so on, which we always assume it to be a constant. Clear? The law of equal ratio says A plus C plus E, clear, divided by B plus D plus F is also equal to K. Clear? This is what the law of equal ratios talk about. Right now, most importantly, it's not just this. It says that the identical linear combination of numerators and denominators will also be equal to K. Now, I'll just take a small example, guys. Just ignore the question. I repeat, ignore the question. We are looking at law of equal ratios here, okay? So I repeat, what is law of equal ratios? Let's take a small example, okay? Suppose I'm talking about, let's say A by B is equal to, let's say 3 by 4, okay? I'm saying C by D is equal to 6 by 8. Let's say I'm talking about E by F, let's say is equal to 9 by 12. Clear? Now, give me the value of A plus C plus E divided by B plus D plus F. Can you get the value of this, please? Solve through the basic method, Ishwar. Just do not apply the shortcut here. I wanted to solve through the basic method. Now let's understand the basic mathematical process and then dump this process, guys. Now there are 3 different ratios, okay? If there are 3 different ratios, I can assume A is equal to 3x, B is equal to 4x. Since C by D is a different ratio, we saw yesterday in the class that if I have a different ratio, the variable will be different. So I'll take 6y and D is equal to 8y. Clear? Now the third ratio is E by F. So let me take that as 9z and let me take this as 12z. Okay. So my A will be nothing but 3x plus 6y plus 9z divided by denominator will be 4x plus 8y plus 12z. So what will happen if you take a 3 common in the numerator, you get x plus 2y plus 3z divided by, if you take 4 in the denominator, you again get x plus 2y plus 3z. So this gets cancelled. Eventually the answer is going to be 3 by 4. Clear? I repeat, stick to basics. You'll never have a problem initially and then you can simplify the shortcut. Now what is the law of equal ratio says? If A by B is equal to C by D is equal to E by F. Let us say in this case, which is equal to 3 by 4. In all the cases, this is 3 by 4. Clear? If this is 3 by 4, then please understand when I say linear combination, so whatever I take from the numerator, I am taking A from the numerator, so I am taking B from the denominator. I am taking a plus C from the numerator. So I repeat, there's a plus 1 here, okay? So I'm taking plus 1D from the denominator, plus E from the numerator, plus F from the denominator. This will also be equal to K. Not just this. Let's try to understand one more important point here. Suppose I'm asking you, okay, observe how I'm making the question, okay? So suppose I am taking 2A from the numerator and 2B from the denominator, plus 3C from the numerator, 3D from the denominator, and 4E from the numerator, and 4F from the denominator. Now, can you tell me what will the value of this be? Go through the basic approach. So 2 into 3, this will be how much? 6x. 3 into 6 will be how much? 18y. 4 into 9 will be how much? 36z. Divided by 2 into 4 will be 8x. 3 into 8 will be 24y. And 4 into 12 will be 48z. Now from the numerator, you can take a 6 common. This will give you x plus 3y plus 6z. No, I cannot take 3 common. Yeah, we can take that. So from the denominator, I'll take 8 common. This will be x plus 3y plus 6z. Now this gets cancelled. So 6 by 8 is nothing but again 3 by 4. Now are you able to understand? Linear combination means what? If I'm picking up 2a from the numerator, I'm picking up 2b from the denominator. What is the numerator here? This is the numerator and this is the denominator. Clear? Similarly, this is my numerator and this is my denominator, right? So what did I do? I picked up 3c from the numerator and 3d from the denominator. Clear? Now, if I'm taking E, so I'm taking 4E from the numerator and 4F from the denominator. Abhi, because A is to B is 3 is to 4 now. Now, this is eventually a ratio, right? If A is to B is equal to 3 is to 4, in yesterday's class we learned that if A is equal to 3x and B is equal to 4x. Clear with this point, guys? So whatever you take, now suppose, let me take a small example. I'm taking A minus 3C, let's say minus 4E. Now, for me to get a unique answer, if I'm taking A from the numerator, I'll take B. There's a minus 3 from 3C, kada? So I'll take minus 3D. There's a minus 4E, so I'm taking minus 4F. Till when I'm satisfying this, my answer will be equal to the original constant. So my answer will always be equal to 3 by 4. Clear the law of equal ratios, guys? Any doubts? Yep, moving forward. So a lot of you are asking me to repeat once again. So let me repeat once again, guys. Just 1 second. Just ignore this question, okay? For the time being, ignore this question. Yeah. So let's understand. I repeat. Suppose I am giving you A by B is equal to 3 by 4. I am giving you C by D, let's say, is equal to 6 by 8. I am giving you E by F, let's say, is equal to 9 by 12. So what is my conclusion here? My conclusion here is simple, that A by B is equal to C by D is equal to E by F, and all of them are equal to 3 is to 4. Okay. Let's understand mathematically how does law of equal ratios work. Right. Now, according to this, this is one of the ratios, A is to B. So I am taking A is equal to 3x and B is equal to 4x. This is a different ratio. Clear? So so I'll take C is equal to 6y and D is equal to 8y. Clear? And then I'm talking about E by F. So E is equal to, let's say, 9z and F is equal to 12z. Clear? Now, yes, Sai, we have discussed continued proportions and proportions. I'm just discussing law of equal ratios. Clear, guys who have missed the class, can you please revisit the video after the class? I'll be uploading this on the website. You can watch them. Okay? Yeah, so this is what is given to us. Clear? Now, what am I looking at here is, suppose I'm asking you the value of A plus C plus E divided by B plus D plus F. So what will I get? I'll get 3x plus 6y plus 9z divided by, I'll get 4x plus 8y plus 12z. So if you take a 3 common from the numerator, you get x plus 2y plus 3z divided by 4 common, x plus 2y plus 3z. So this gets cancelled and the answer is equal to 3 by 4. Now what is the logic or what is the rationale behind it? Whatever I pick up from the numerator as the coefficient and the sign. So what did I do? I took a plus 1a. Now what is the respective denominator? B kada. So I'm taking a plus 1b. Similarly, I took a plus 1c, I took a plus 1d, I took a plus 1e, I took a plus 1f. So if I take the linear combination of numerators and denominators, I repeat, I picked up a from the numerator, so I picked up b from the denominator. C from the numerator, respective denominator is plus d, plus e from the numerator, respective denominator is plus f. This will be equal to the value of k, and here the value of k is equal to 3 by 4. Now suppose I take a 2a from the numerator, then I have to take 2b from the denominator. Let's say I'm taking a minus 3c from the numerator. What is the numerator? C's numerator is, now denominator of this fraction is d. So I'll take a minus 3d from the denominator. Let's say plus 4e from the numerator. This is the numerator. Now the respective denominator is f. So I'll take plus 4f. Now please understand this will also be equal to 3 by 4 only. This is what the shortcut says. Is this point clear with all of us? Now look at these values now. A I am taking from the numerator, B from the denominator, minus C, so minus D, plus E plus F. This will also be equal to K. Clear? You look at all these things. I'm picking a 2A, then I'm picking a 2B. I'm picking a minus 3C, I'm picking a minus 3D. So this will also be equal to K. I'm taking a plus 5C, so I'm taking a plus 5D. Minus A minus B plus 2E plus 2F. So respective numerators and denominators, and I am talking about identical linear combination. Linear means the power should be 1. Clear? So identical linear combination. Whenever you take a linear combination, the value will always be equal to k. This is what the law of equal ratios says. Clear? Any other deviation, the answer becomes cannot be determined. Right, so moving forward, guys, can you get the answer of this question, please? Just a second. Yeah, let's look at this. Yeah, so mean proportion, we discussed mean proportion is always a central value. So when A, B, and C are in continued proportion, clear? Then B becomes your mean proportion. Right? So when A, B, and C are in continued proportion, I would say A by B is equal to B by C, right? So when I cross multiply, I get B square is equal to AC. Clear? Or the value of B, which is the mean proportion, is nothing but A into C. Clear? So therefore your answer is the answer would be 6 into 24 whole root over. So root over of 144. Now always remember root over of 144 is equal to 12. Clear? Shravya, please do the calculation properly. Yep. Can you get the answer of this question, please? Kasi, what do you mean by 3, Nana? So it says what must be subtracted from these numbers so that the remainders are in proportion, are proportional. Remainders means after subtracting whatever is left out. Clear? That those remainder numbers are in proportion. So suppose I'm subtracting the same number called x. So 7 minus x by 8 minus x, right? So they should be in proportion, right? These are the remainder numbers. So after subtracting, these are the remaining values. 7 minus x by 8 minus x should be equal to 11 minus x by 14 minus x. Now, a lot of students start cross multiplying and start using their mathematical knowledge. Now, please understand, he is asking you what number must be subtracted. That means the options are giving me the value of x only. So the best part is replace options. That will give you the best possible answer. And the numbers are also lovely. Clear? So any one of the options that you replace, whichever satisfies the given condition should be your answer. So if I look at option A, 7 minus 1 will be 6, 8 minus 1 will be 7. 11 minus 1 will be 10 and 14 minus 1 will be 13. So these two are not equal. I want both of them to be equal. Option B, 7 minus 2 will be 5, 8 minus 2 will be 6, 11 minus 2 will be 9 and 14 minus 2 will be 12. So again these two are not equal. Option C, 7 minus 3 is 4, 8 minus 3 is 5 and I have 11 minus 3 is 8, 14 minus 3 is 11. Again these two are not equal. Option D, 7 minus 4 is 3, 8 minus 4 is 4, 11 minus 4 is 7 and 14 minus 4 is 10. Again these two are not equal. So by default my answer is going to be option E. Let's cross check. 7 minus 5 is 2, 8 minus 5 is 3, 11 minus 5 is 6 and 14 minus 5 is 9. So 2 by 3 is going to be your answer. Clear? So when I say so that the remainders are proportional, now please understand remainders means after subtraction whatever is the number left out, those guys should be in proportion to each other. Clear? Let's look at this question now please. Yeah, so now please understand if A by B, okay, this comes under law of equal ratios, okay. So if I'm looking at A by B is equal to C by D is equal to 4 by 5. Had I asked you A minus C by B minus D, then the value would have been 4 by 5. Please understand if here the power is 1, 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 then I'm talking about linear combination. Clear? But it's not asking me the value of A minus C by B minus D. In fact, it's asking you the value of A square minus C square by B square minus D square. If I just observe this, suppose I square this whole part up, then I would get A square by B square is equal to C square by D square is equal to 16 by 25. Clear? So therefore, now if I look at law of equal ratios, I'm picking up A square from the numerator. So I'm picking up B square from the denominator. minus c square minus d square. So now I'm ensuring that the degree is same, right? So a square minus c square by b square minus d square will then be equal to the value of k only, that is 16 by 25. Clear? Let's move to the next one, please. Shravya, type. Guys, I told you stick to basics here. Whenever two different ratios are given, stick to basics. This is not satisfying law of equal ratios. This is not satisfying law of equal ratios. Sai Durga, it is law of equal ratios, Kana. A lot of students, I'm replying to your messages and your doubts. Yep. So please understand the answer for this question becomes cannot be determined. Clear? Now, why? Again, understand. If A by B, this question actually says A by B is equal to 4:5 and C by D is equal to also 4:5. This is a ratios model, guys. Clear? So if this is going to be your value, then I repeat, we discussed yesterday, if we have two different ratios, the variables will be different. Okay. Now, so whenever I'm replacing 4a, so I would go with this as 4 into 4x minus 3c. I am going with 3 into 4y. Okay, divided by what is 3b? That is 3 into 5x plus what is 4d? That is 4 into 5y. Let's look at the previous question also here. The previous question was a square minus c square by b square minus d square. Okay. So if I take a square, 4 square will be nothing but 16x square minus c square is 4y, that is going to be 416y square. B square will be 25x square and d square will be 25y square. Clear? Sai Durga, this is for you only. Clear? The logic is quite simple. Here if you observe, this is going to be 16x minus 12y by 15x plus 20y. Will you get any answer from here? So I get 4x by 35y. Guys who are replacing values, please stick to basics. We discussed in yesterday's class also. All of you gave me the answer as 4 by 35, but all of you ate away x and y. Clear? So 4x by 35y, since I do not know the value of x by y, my answer becomes cannot be determined. Simple. Now, if in the previous question as I saw, this can be taken as 16 common, this becomes x square minus y square, and divided by 25 common, that is again x square minus y square. So x square minus y square and x square minus y square will get cancelled. Clear? Teja and Sai Kiran, I have mentioned the whole calculation on the screen. Just follow the calculation here. I've just replaced the value of A as 4x and the value of B as 5x. And the value of C as 4y and the value of D as 5y. Clear, Sai Kiran? I'm replacing that in the question, guys. These values I'm replacing here, and that is how I get this value. Sorry, my bad. One second. Yeah, just 1 second, guys. So this is 16x minus 12y, right? So this will remain as it is. My bad, sorry. So this will remain as it is. So therefore, my answer here becomes cannot be determined. My bad, sorry. Clear? So here itself, I do not know the value of x and y. So therefore, the answer becomes cannot be determined. But whereas when you look at this part, which is a square part, clear? So therefore, this x square minus y square and x square minus y square will get cancelled, and therefore I will get the answer as 16 by 25. Right? So what did we simplify in the previous question? Somebody was saying, sir, it is not defined in the rules that you mentioned. Please understand, let's not go by rules, guys. Law of equal ratio says if the power is 1, then a minus c by b minus d will be equal to 4 by 5. Now here he is asking me a square minus c square by b square minus d square. I know that this will satisfy the law of equal ratios for this question. If a by b is equal to c by d is equal to 4 by 5, if I square them up, a square by b square is equal to c square by d square, which is equal to 16 by 25. Now is it clear? A lot of you, including Sai Durga, who had asked me this. Now it is satisfying the equal ratios as compared to this equation given to me. So please appreciate the fact if the powers are same, we start looking at those values. Clear? So we're moving ahead, guys. You try all the possible methods, guys. Anvesh, you'll get the same answer, Kana. Now let's look at variations. Now, when I talk about variations, I talk about direct variation or direct proportionality. If we all remember this, if A is directly proportional to B, clear? So if A is directly proportional to B, the simple example is when A increases, B also increases. Clear? The best example can be earnings and hours. The more the number of hours I work, the more is the money that I earn. Clear? Similarly, I'm talking about speed and distance when time is kept constant. So A is directly proportional to B is a simple concept where if A increases, B also increases. So in the whole process, we get A 1 by A2 is equal to B1 by B2. First things first, clear? Now my second thing that I can also, second way to solve can also be, I replace the proportionality sign with an equal to sign and I bring a constant. So I can also solve by the help of this method. A is equal to KB. Clear? Now please understand your 95 to 98% of the questions in CRT will fall in this category. Very rarely, hardly 1% of questions, especially which come up in CAT, will come in this category. So try to follow this model and get your answers. Clear, guys? Yeah, can we get a simple answer for this question? Yeah. So x varies directly as y. So I can say x is directly proportional to y. So we'll solve with both the methods, don't worry. So I can say that x1 by x2 is equal to y1 by y2. Clear? So here what is this? So 6 becomes the value of x1. So corresponding value of y1 is 24. 5 is the value of x2. I do not know the value of y2. So 6 ones are 6 fours. That's simple basic method. The basic method says x is find the value of y when the value of x is equal to 5. So if I replace again the same thing in this equation, x is equal to k into y. I know the value of x is equal to 5. The value of k is equal to 1 by 4 into 1. The value of y is equal to 20. And therefore from both the methods we'll get the answer as 20. Clear? Now, the second called inverse variation or inversely proportional. When I say x varies inversely with y, so x, I write it as x is proportional to 1 by y. Clear? So when x is proportional to 1 by y, then I write x1 by x2 is equal to y2 by y1. Clear? So 99% of the questions can be solved by the help of this logic. The second way in which I can go ahead is if I replace the proportional antisign, I write k into 1 by y. So in short, the basic method says x is equal to k by y. So let's look at an example there. Yeah, can we solve this please? So it says x varies inversely with y, right? So I would write this as x1 by x2 is equal to y2 by y1, guys, inversely. So this is x1, y1. This he's asking the value of x2 and he's giving me the value of y2. So if I replace 2 by x2 is equal to 1 by 3. Y2 by y1, guys. Clear? So therefore, the value of x2 is going to be equal to nothing but 6 out here. I repeat, x1 by x2 is equal to y2 by y1, guys. So here if I go by the basic method, this becomes x is equal to k by y. Now here you have to replace x1 and y1 only here, okay? So we replace 2 here, 2 is equal to k by 3. Or in short, from here we get the value of k is equal to 6. Clear? Now if I have k is equal to 6, now I take x2 is equal to k by y2. So I want the value of x2, the value of k is equal to 6 and the value of y2 is equal to 1. So therefore the value of x2 is equal to 6. So learn both the methods, which will be really important for all the exams. Clear? Now, what if I have 3 terms? Right? Now, when I have more than 2 terms, so whenever more than 2 terms are given, clear? The term that I use is called joint variation. Guys, hold here. I'm explaining. Just wait for some time and then start answering. I know a lot of you know the models. Clear? Just listen. You might be learning something new from the whole process. Okay. So when more than two terms are mentioned, then the word that I use is joint variation. Clear? Guys, I do not want the answer for this question, please. Just hold on. Clear? Now, so suppose I'm given x is directly proportional to y, as given in this question, and I'm given x is directly proportional to z. So to simplify this, all I would do is, first things first, rule number one, repeated term should be made as the subject of all the equations. Okay. So what do I mean? X is repeating, so x is a subject. X is directly proportional to y, and I'm keeping x as directly proportional to z. Clear? Now the second rule will be simple to finalize your formula. So this can be written as x is directly proportional to. I repeat, repeated term will be written only once, and your right hand side will be multiplied. So y into z. So repeated term subject on the left hand side. Okay. So your final formula will be repeated term will be written only once. Clear? And right hand side multiply as you have written. Clear? Now what does this mean? Let me take another example. This is a very simple question to look at. Okay. So suppose I'm saying you that x is inversely proportional to y and z is inversely proportional to x. Now let's see how do we solve this. Now you might think that sir, repeated term is not the subject on both the cases. Now please understand, if z is inversely proportional to x, can I say this is also equal to x is inversely proportional to z? Because both the parties are inversely proportional to each other. Okay. So if x is inversely proportional to y and z is inversely proportional to x, our job was to make repeated term as a subject. So if z is inversely proportional to x, I would write x is inversely proportional to z. So I can write both of them like this. Now if I simplify, what do I get? My repeated term will be written only once. I'll multiply my right hand side. So this becomes y z. Clear guys? Joint variation. Yeah, can we get the answer of this question now? Yeah, so it says x varies directly as y and x varies directly as z. So I repeat the rules once for last time. Repeated term. Clear? So I'm sorry, repeated term to be written on the left. Clear? So when you have this, what is the second point? Left hand side or LHS, write repeated term only once. RHS, multiply all of them. Simple logic. So repeated term, I write only once. Right hand side, I multiply all of them. That becomes y into z. Doesn't matter in whatever state they are. Okay. So this will be x1 by x2 is equal to y1 z1 by y2 z2. Simple. So this is x1 y1 z1 I need the value of x2. I'm given y2 and z2. Okay. So x1 is 2. I do not know the value of x2. Y1 is 3. Z1 is 5. Y2 is 9 and Z2 is 15. So 15 and 15 gets cancelled. So therefore the value of x2 will be 9 2s are 18. So 18 is the right answer for this question. Clear joint variation, guys? Clear? Now let's look at the next one. Now this term that we are talking about is direct and inverse relationship. Now there's a difference between directly variation or proportion and versus direct relationship. When I say direct variation or directly proportional, clear? I'm saying A is directly proportional to B, which means what? A increases, B also increases, but with a proportional. The rate of change is constant, guys. Clear? Let me take a small example. I'm sure all of you would have been to Barbecue Nation. Sure, everybody, Barbecue Nation? Right? Now, I know that per plate in Barbecue Nation cost us 900 rupees. So if two people are going, what is my bill? My bill is 900 into 2. That is going to be 1800. Clear? If 4 people are going, then what happens to be my bill? That's 900 into 4. That becomes 3600. This is a perfect example of direct proportion or direct variation. Clear? What does that mean? If my number of people double, my bill also doubles. Clear? But what happens in variation? Sorry, what happens in direct relationship? In direct relationship, what happens? If A increases, clear? B also increases, but not by a constant factor. The relationship is something else altogether. Clear? So direct relation is distinct from direct variation in the sense that an increase in one variable does not cause or does cause an increase in the second variable. Clear? But the increase and decrease may not be proportional. So I cannot, when I say direct relationship, I cannot use the concept of direct proportionality. This is just for your understanding. Clear? Now, whenever I look at this kind of example, no, the best example can be, let's say, my total cost is a component of fixed cost plus variable cost. Clear? So whenever we have a relationship like this, I repeat, your total cost is nothing but a fixed cost plus variable cost. Now, let's say we are going to attend, I'm sure you guys would have organized parties for your college. Party in a hotel. Okay. Let's say we decided to organize a party in the Park Hotel. Now, when I go and talk to the manager, he says that the hall will cost you, let's say, 10,000 rupees and it can accommodate 300 people. Clear? And the hall manager says that if you want to eat something, we can serve you food also. The food will cost you 300 rupees per plate or per person, whatever it is. Okay. Now, suppose there were only 100 students who came to the party. So what will happen? The hall person will definitely take 10,000 rupees. But I know the eating charges will be 300 into 100 only. So this is how much? 30,000 plus 10,000. That means my total budget, if 100 people are attending, will be 40,000. Clear? Now suppose 200 people attend. Now please understand, if A would have been directly proportional to B, and I say if 100 people are attending, the bill is 40,000. What will be the bill be if 200 people are attending? If it is directly proportional, simple. If this is doubling, this will also double. It would have become 80,000. Clear? But that does not happen in this case. Let's see. Now in this case, what happens? The hotel guy will still take 10,000 rupees. But now I am paying my 300 rupees per plate for how many people? 200 people. So 60 plus 10, my answer is going to be 70,000. So what is happening with an increase in number of people? Did my cost increase? Yes, but here it was double and here it was not double. This is the best example of direct relationship. Is this point clear, guys? The difference between direct relationship and direct proportionality. So how did we calculate my total cost? There is a fixed cost for the hotel and variable cost is number of people into cost per person. So fixed cost plus variable cost is equal to total cost. Now what is my variable cost? Variable cost is number of people and there is a cost per person. Clear? So that is how you go ahead with the variable cost component altogether. So this is all is with respect to direct way relationship altogether. Clear? So let's understand this with the help of an example also. Let's solve this, please. Let's look at it together. Total boarding expenses. Okay, so my total expenses are partly fixed. That means there is some fixed cost. Clear? Partly varying linearly with the number of boarders which come. That means there's a cost per person into number of people who are attending the boarding house. This is how it goes. Clear? Right now, the total boarding expenses were 1200 rupees. So I would say 1200 rupees were the total expenses. I do not know my fixed cost, but there were 40 boarders, right? So if there's a cost per person, I would say that is 40 into cost per person. Clear? And the total cost was 1500 when there were 55 boarders. That means if the fixed cost will remain as it is, 55 into C. Clear? So if you simplify both of them, then what happens? I subtract both of them. Fixed cost gets cancelled. So what do you have? You have 15C is equal to 300. Or the value of C is equal to 300 by 15, that is equal to 20. Now replace the value of C in any one of the equations. So what do I get? I get 1200 is equal to F plus 40 into 20, that is 800. So the value of F is equal to 1200 minus 800, that is equal to 400. So we got two things pretty clearly here, that my fixed cost is equal to 400 and cost per boarder is equal to 20. Now what is the question asking you? Find the total boarding expenses when 75 boarders have come to you. So my total expenses will be, again fixed cost is what I have to bear. Now for each of them I am paying 20 rupees. So 70 into 20 will be how much? 1500. 1500 plus 400, which means my total expense will be how much? 1900 will become my total expenses. Here guys. Yep, let's move ahead. Keep the doubts for the end, guys. Now, whenever you see these kind of questions, all these questions come under the concept called joint variation. Let's understand. There are 10 weavers who weave 10 carpets in 10 days. That means I'm talking about number of people. Clear? I'm talking about number of carpets. And I'm talking about number of days. So I can term this as number of people I can term this as my work, and this is my number of days. Okay. Now tell me one thing. What is the question asking you? How many carpets, right? If the question is asking you how many carpets, make number of carpets as a subject. Clear? Now let's try to understand how do you solve them. The more the number of people, just link up with these two. Clear? Work and number of people. Tell me, the more the number of people, will the work be more or will the work be less, irrespective of number of days? Quick responses, please. More the number of people, will the work done be more or less, irrespective of number of days? Obviously, the work will be more, no? The number of people are more, so obviously the work done will be more, which means if they are directly proportional. So the more the work, the more the number of people required. Clear? Now, since he's asking you weavers, now link up relationship between weavers and number of days. So bring up a joint variation concept. Now weavers and number of days. Now tell me, more the number of days, will the amount of work done be more or less, irrespective of number of people? Obviously more, no? More the number. I do understand during lockdown we all are getting lazy. So with more the number of days we are doing less work. But in an ideal scenario, let's be very clear that more the number of days, right, irrespective of number of people, I repeat, which means I'm keeping number of people constant. Okay. So irrespective of number of people, the more the number of days, the more is the total work done. So I get a relationship called W is directly proportional to N and W is directly proportional to D. Now let's apply joint variation concept. So I can combine W into one part and I can write this is N into D. Clear? That is W is the total work, that is carpets, guys. Or I can rather replace it as C also, carpets. More the number of days, more the number of carpets. More the number of people, more the number of carpets. You can also do this. So if I have this relationship, I can write C1 by C2 is equal to N1 D1 by N2 D2. Now just replace the values, you'll get the answer. So what is C1? 10 is the number of carpets made in the initial case. I do not know how many carpets have to be made. What is N1? Number of people in the first case were 10 weavers and they were doing for 10 days. Now there is only one weaver and I have to complete the work in 1 day. Clear? Right? So 10 and 10 gets cancelled. Let's cross multiply. So if we cross multiply, the value of X is going to be nothing but 1 by 10. So 1/10 of the carpet is made by one weaver in 1 day. Clear? If you get word-based problems in terms of joint variation, this is how I calculate. Right? Moving ahead, guys. Yeah, can we apply the same thing once again here? Naveen, I have replied to your query, boss. Yep. Again, carpenters, chairs, and days. Again, is asking you how many chairs are to be made. Clear? So we can again link up in the same way only. So make chairs as the subject. First, identify how many terms are there: carpenters, chairs, and days. So since chair is asked, make chair as the subject. Now, more the number of carpenters, more the number of chairs. So C is my chairs, N is my carpenter, that is number of people, D is my number of days. More the number of people, carpenters, more the number of chairs. Clear? Similarly, more the number of days, more the number of chairs. So we get C is directly proportional to number of people into number of days. So you get C1 by C2 is equal to N1 D1 by N2 D2. Just replace, you get the values. So chairs in the second case, I do not know. 4 carpenters they are making in 5 days. 8 carpenters they will make in 10 days. So 20 and 20 gets cancelled. The value of X is going to be 80. So 80 chairs will be made in this case. Clear? Yeah. So one last question in proportions and then we move into partnerships. $80 is the previous question's answer here. Teja and Pravani, 80, 80. You can look at this. Just take one more quick 30 more seconds. Yeah, let's look at this. Yeah, let's look at this. I'm sorry, yeah. So I'm replying to a lot of students' questions also on the chat box. Yeah, so this is a different kind of question, right? So a garrison has enough food for 40 men, clear, for 6 months. So which means, so they are consuming food, right? Yeah, so they are consuming food. If each man consumes 900 grams of food per day, clear? So if each man is consuming 900 grams of food per day, then can I say 40 men in one day would consume 40 into 900 grams? Clear? And they are completing it for how many months? 6 months. Clear? So let us say for 6 months. So they are eating these many grams of food. So this is 36,000, that is 36 kgs, 36 into 6. So that means my total ration with me is 216 kgs. Is this point clear with all of us? I repeat, each one of you is eating 900 grams per day. So you have 40 of you, right? So each day you'll be eating how many? 36,000 grams. 36,000 grams is nothing but 36 kgs. This is in one day. Okay, because it's given you per day, guys. Clear? So I'm sorry, per day you're eating this much. So I have to convert the number of months also in the number of days only, right? So therefore, 6 months will be how many days? 6 months, let's take a rough assumption of 30 days per month. So I'm taking 180 days. Clear? So this is the total amount of ration with you. I repeat, he has given you 900 grams per day. So your months will also be converted into number of days out here. Clear? So this is going to be 36,000 grams. 36 into 18 is what we are calculating further. Clear? So 36 into 18 will be how much? 648. 648, I have 1, 2, 3, and I have one more zero left. These many grams, okay? These many grams of food is what you have. Now, a reinforcement of 20 men joined the garrison. What does that mean, guys? That means there were already 40 people and 20 more people joined, okay? That means now this food, or let's not simplify, I'm sorry, this is not even required. So I'm looking at 900 into 40 into 180 is the ration. Now the same food now has to be eaten by how many people? Now there are 60 people. A reinforcement of 20 join the garrison. What was the garrison? The garrison had 40. There were 40 and 20 more joined. So therefore there will be 60 now, okay? For how long? I do not know for how many days will the food last. If each man consumes 600 grams per day. So 36,000 and 36,000 gets cancelled. So in a way, my number of days will not change. And therefore the answer is going to be for 6 months, the food will. Clear, guys? This is all about proportions and variations that we needed to know. Let's enter into partnerships. Here I'm calculating total ration. Lakshmi. They're the same, no? Yeah, you can do with the help of joint variation. You'll not get a different answer. Do not worry. You'll get the same concept. If you want me to repeat the help of joint variation, what am I talking about? I'm talking about number of men. Let's that is n. Number of days and the consumption per person per day. Okay. Now it's asking you for how long will the food last. So let's make number of days as a subject. Now please be focused here. Okay. If the number of people are more, the food will last for less number of days or more number of days. Quick answer, guys. Obviously, if you're talking about food, the number of people are more, then the number of food will be lasting for less number of days, which means the number of days is inversely proportional to number of people. Clear? Next, I have to compare D and consumption. Now, if each person consumes more per day, I repeat, if each one of the persons start consuming more per day, will the food last for more number of days or less number of days? Again, the answer is less number of days, which means here also D is inversely proportional to C. Now let's combine them. So I have D is inversely proportional to 1 by N into C2 by N1 C1. Clear? So earlier, the food lasted for 180 days. Yeah, because Sangeeta, each one is reducing the consumption also, Kadamma. Earlier you were eating 900 grams of food. Now you are eating only 600 grams of food. So you should not be confused that the answer is again 6 months only. And Sangeeta, do not worry, I'm just taking an assumption. You cannot keep on counting, sir, from which month will we start the work. Okay. So I do not know second what. Now N2, number of days, number of people in the second case is how many? 60. They are eating how much of food? 600 grams of food per day. Clear? In the first case, number of people eating are 40 and they are eating how many grams? 900 grams. This is how you are going to solve the answer. We call this as time and work. Yeah, the first method that I solved was time and work, Abhi. Anything here. The first method that we solved was from time and work. You can look at any model that you want to and you can apply. Do not worry about it. Okay, guys. So moving into partnerships. Now, what's the logic behind partnership? Let's first understand. Okay. Now, whenever I talk about partnerships, so whenever we talk about partnerships, we are generally talking about the money invested. So money invested by partners is called your capital. Okay. Money invested by partners is called capital. And there is something called a profit sharing ratio. Clear? So this is what we are majorly talking about. Now let's take a small example, guys. Okay. Now suppose I'm saying A started a business with, let's say, 10,000 rupees of capital, and B also joined him at the same time, let's say with 20,000 rupees of capital. Okay. Now both started together. After 1 year, the total profit of the firm they got was 30,000 rupees, or let's say 3,000 rupees. Okay. This was the profit at the end of 1 year. Now tell me, how much will they share? The total profit at the end of 1 year is 3,000. A and B start a business together with 1,000 and 2,000, with 10,000 and 20,000 rupees of investment. Clear? Now start remembering one simple thing. Your profit sharing ratio, okay? I repeat, your profit sharing ratio is PSR, is always converted as your capital invested by first person into the time period for of the first person is 2. The capital invested by second person into the time period of the second person is 2. The capital invested by the third person into the time period of the third person, and so on and so on and so on. This is the most important point. Now what is happening here? A has invested 10,000 for how many months? 12 months. Now B has invested 20,000 for how many months? B has also invested for 12 months. So 12 and 12 gets cancelled. Zeros also will get cancelled. So therefore your final profit sharing ratio will be nothing but 1:2. So in this chapter, we will be applying this part at a very wider scale, and we'll be looking at various examples to understand this important concept. Clear, guys? I'm sorry. Yeah, so moving forward, can you solve this question, please? In what ratio will they divide the profit? Can you calculate the profit also? Yeah, so they get in with rupees 4,000 and rupees 5,000 to fund a new venture. That means they started together. So my profit sharing ratio will be nothing but capital invested by the first person into the time period of the first person, and capital invested by the second person into the time period of the second person. Clear? Now they're talking about at the end of 1 year. So whenever I'm looking at it, please understand when I make these kind of statements, we are assuming they are working for 1 year only. So his money has been invested for 12, and this guy's money has been invested for 12 months. Clear? So which means the profit sharing ratio is 4:5. If the question is asking about how much profit will each one of them get, I would say Rahul will get 4/9 of 18,000. Sorry, 1,80,000. That is 9 ones are 920. So that's going to be 80,000. And the other guy will get 5/9 of 1,80,000, which will be 1 lakh. So this will be the profit that they'll be sharing. Clear? Let's go to the next one. Yes, Bhagya, this is for you. Just 1 second, guys. Yeah, let's look at this. So A starts a business with 35,000 rupees, okay? And then it says after 5 months, B joins him. The option is already there in your notes, on your screen. So after 5 months, B joins him, right? And then we are talking about at the end of the year. So if you understand, can I say A's money has been invested? That is 3,500 for 12 months because A has been for the entire duration of the mention in the question. Now B's money, B joins after 5 months. Clear? So I do not know how much did B invest, but I know B has invested for 7 months only. So this becomes their profit sharing ratio. Now, as per the question, their profit sharing ratio is 2:3. So can I say 35,000 into 12 by 7x is in the ratio of 2:3? So 7 ones are 7, 5 hundreds are. This is 2 ones are 2, 6 are. So therefore the value of x is going to be nothing but 3 into 6, that is 18. 18 into 500. 18 into 500 is going to be nothing but 9,000 is the amount that B invested in the business. So most of you were correct. The answer is 9,000. Clear? Yeah, let's look at this question, please. How come 7? Because we are talking about at the end of the year, Divya. I'm responding to your query, Divya. Shravani, I responded to your query as well. Yep, so I've slowly started responding to queries on the chat box. So that's why you see sometimes, I'm committing calculation mistakes because that on and off from the screen to teaching is sometimes a little distracting. That's what is happening from yesterday. So sometimes, I just lose a track of what I'm doing in the quest of replying to queries. That's why you might see there's a less disturbance today in the class. So slowly we are trying to improve the efficiency. So A, B, and C started the business. So now these are the important points. Okay, so they started together. Okay, by investing 10,000 rupees, right? Now after 4 months, now whenever the question gives you such breaks, no, start doing it. Okay, let's say I'm writing A, B, and C. So first lap or first calculation will be 4 months calculation, because the first break as per the question is after 4 months. Okay, so for 4 months, this guy's investment is 10,000 into 4. This guy's investment is also 10,000 into 4, and this guy's investment is also 10,000 into 4. Now what is happening? A, after 4 months, A withdraws 3,000 rupees, B withdraws 4,000 rupees. If you understand this way, clear? And C invests rupees 3,000 more. So at the beginning of 5th month, okay, at the beginning of 5th month, what is the investment of A? Investment of A becomes, A withdraws 3,000, no? So investment of A becomes 7,000. B withdraws 4,000, so investment of B becomes 6,000. And C invests 3,000 rupees more. That means investment of C is 13,000. This is how the things are working. Okay. Now the question is talking about at the end of the year. That means 4 months are already over, and we are talking about at the end of the year from starting the business. Clear? Devdeep, that is what we are discussing, that the profit sharing ratio will be the capital into number of months. Right? No matter the question is not told you per month, but we are talking about capital into the time period. Now you have to break as per the question. See, invest kadana, no? Sai Prashant, C invests. Right? Now we're talking about at the end of the year. That means we're talking about 12 months. Out of 12 months, 4 months are over. So his remaining money is invested for 8 months, for 8 months, and for 8 months. We have now do the calculation. So 10,000 into 4 is 40,000. And 7,000 into 8 is 56. So 40 plus 56 will be how much? This guy's investment, effective investment is 96,000. This becomes my profit sharing ratio if the different time zones are given. Okay. Now again, this is 40,000 plus 48,000. 40,000 plus 48,000 is going to be how much? 88,000. Clear? Now C is going to be what? C is going to be 40,000, and 8 3s are 24. 4 I carry to 104. 104 plus 40 will give me how much? 144,000. Clear? So this becomes the profit sharing ratio. Can you just solve this, please? Dhawan, I replied to your query. I repeat, guys. Now this is the only important model that you can, you might find struggling. He'll be giving you different time periods, and he'll be saying somebody is withdrawing, somebody is investing. This is the most disturbing calculation here. Okay. Now, first break given to me is after 4 months. So let's first calculate for the first 4 months only. Okay. So this guy invests 10,000 for 4 months. This guy is investing again 10,000 for 4 months, and this guy is investing again 10,000 for 4 months. Now for the remaining 8 months, what is happening? This guy's investment becomes, he withdraws 3,000. So this guy invests 7 for 8 months. This guy withdraws 4,000. So 10 minus 4 will give you 6 for 8 months. And this guy invests 13 more. So this is becoming 13 into. So if you add this is going to be the effective investment for 12 months, which will be nothing but their profit sharing ratio. So 40 plus 28, 40 plus 56 will give me how much? 96. 40 plus 48 will give me how much? 88. And this will give me 144. So if you simplify, 4 in 24. So 2 12s are, or I could have gone with 8 also. That is 2 11s are, and 2 into how much? 18. Now it's asking the share of C. So the share of C is going to be 18 divided by 18 plus 12 plus 11 of 32800. 18 plus 20 is 30. 30 plus 11 is 41. So it's 18 by 41 into 328000. So 00, right? Yeah. So 41 into 800s. So 8 into 8 will be 64. 4 I carry 6. So 14400 will be your answer. Therefore, which is going to be option number B. B for Bombay. Clear? Moving forward, guys. Yeah, let's look at 2 more questions quickly before we end the class. Yeah, let's go together. Abu and Salim started a partnership business investing some amount of money in the ratio of 4:6. Okay. Fair. So this started together. So I have Abu and I have Salim. And then I have one more guy called Shakil. Shakil joined them after 6 months with an amount equal to that of Salim. Clear? So this guy's investment, let's say, was 4x. Salim's investment was 6x. So Shakil invested 6x only. But what happened? We are talking about at the end of 1 year. So this guy's investment would be for 12 months. This guy's investment would be for 12 months, but Shakil joined after 6 months. So from 12 months, 6 months, he did not work. That means his investment we are talking about for 6 months. So that becomes 48x is to 72x is to, or you can simplify here, 12, 12, and 6 into 2 will be 12. Or you can simplify this also. Anything is okay, guys. If you're good at calculation, you can simplify here. The answer is going to be 4 is to 6 is to 3. Let's not waste time. Simple question. Yep. Can we quickly calculate this, please? Basics of calculation, guys, nothing more. Just pick up the model and pick up the speed. Look at the important points. Let's go together, okay? See how do I approach a question. So it says ABC enter into partnership. Right, so they invest 40, 80 and 120. So for me, the important thing is time period. 40, 80 and 120. At the end of first year, B withdraws. Okay, that means for 1 year, this has been remaining constant. So into 1, into 1, into 1. Nothing to be worried. First year. At the end of first year, B withdraws 40,000. So for second year, B withdraws while at the end of, okay, yeah, so 40,000 for second year. While at the end of second year, C withdraws 80,000. So nothing to be worried. That means for second year, this guy money has remained the same 1 year, okay? I repeat, I'm talking about a specific year. So only for second year, for 1 year. Now this guy's investment again became 40,000 for 1 year. And this guy's investment continued to remain the same. That is again for 1 year. Now at the end of second year, C withdraws 80,000. That means for the third year, C's investment was 40,000 for 1 year. This guy was 40,000 for 1 year, and this guy was 40,000 for 1 year. Now please understand, if you're taking years, everything has to be years. If you're taking month, everything has to be months. I'm only looking at the unit of time period should be same. Okay. So 40 into 3 will give you 120. This is 80 plus 80 will give you 160. And 240 plus 40 will give you how much? 280. 0, 0 and 0 gets cancelled. 6, 8 and 14, or 4 3s, 4 4s, 4 7s. 3 is to 4 is to 7. Yeah, see, withdraws 80k after second year, Amma. Bhagya. At the end of second year. So for the third year, it is C, Amma. So for the third year, 120 nunchi 80 withdraw అయిపోయిందమ్మా. Yeah, perfect. So 3 is to 4 is to 7 is the answer. As I said, it's a very basic calculation part here. Just pick up the logics. Clear? Shirisha and Krishna. Yeah, last question of the day, guys, because I believe there is one more class assigned. So Munna received 3,000 as his share of profit out of 4,500. Go step by step, okay? Which he and Raju earned at the end of 1 year. Perfect. So for 1 year, Munna received 3,000, which means Raju received how much? 1,500. That means their profit sharing ratio was how much? 2 is to 1. I repeat, profit sharing ratio of Munna is to Raju. Okay, perfect. Now, if Munna invested 60,000 for 6 months, whereas Raju invested the total amount for 1 year. So we also know that profit sharing ratio. So Munna is equal to 60,000 for 6 months. And Raju, I do not know X for how many months? For the whole year, that is 12 months. So according to us, this is the profit sharing ratio. And we also got, according to the question, the profit sharing ratio of Munna is to Raju is 2 is to 1. So 6 ones are 6 twos are 2 ones are, sorry, you cross multiply. This 2 is remaining. So 60,000 is equal to 2x into 2, that is 4x. Or the value of x is equal to 60,000 divided by 4, which is going to be how much? 15,000 rupees. So most of you are correct. Raju invested 15,000 rupees. Okay, so that's it about partnerships, guys. A small announcement before we end the class. I will be uploading yesterday's class PDF, today's class PDF, and yesterday's video in the website. Clear? And you can just watch them, maybe probably post next 1.5 or 2 hours, preferably in the afternoon, that will be ready. And then we are again meeting up on Monday for the next class. Clear? Thanks a lot, guys, and thanks a lot for your feedbacks and your compliments. Right, so hope to again have a great session next week. We will be looking at a few more interesting topics called profit and loss, allegations and mixtures, time and work. Yeah, everything will be uploaded. Do not worry. Averages PDF will also be uploaded. App will be making it ready on Monday, Gayatri. I'll be declaring that in the class. Do not worry. You can watch the video. Do not worry, Sai Prashant. You can go to our website and watch the video. Thanks a lot for the feedback, guys. Guys, there's another class from the college at 10:15, so I'll have to close the session because if, unless I close, they will not be able to go ahead. So guys who have a doubt, just go through the video once again. If you have any doubts, you can directly message me. My number is on the slide. You can personally message me to discuss any amount of doubts. Thanks a lot for being an amazing audience, guys. Enjoy your weekend. Thanks a lot.